Hi, everyone. It's Mike, and I've got an update for you on the V3 of TO Tools that I'm going to be posting to the group here pretty much as soon as I'm done with this video. This is going to be both a library update and also a spreadsheet and form update. Um, so it's possible that if you have an existing um, spreadsheet that you're planning on using or that you've made a lot of changes to, you can use your existing one by going up to the version 3 of the library and making a couple of slight adjustments to or additions to your existing spreadsheet. Or if you don't and you haven't made a ton of changes, or you just want to redo them all next year, you can go straight to the V3 versions of things. Um, However you want to do it. Hopefully, this is a pretty painless upgrade. So there's four things that I'm going to show you guys. First, we have the additional two scenarios that were added in Clash of Kings 2024. Second, we have some additional point levels that you can play at. Third, we have a way to do random drawings, and fourth, I can count. We have a way I added to keep track of who has and hasn't submitted their end of tournament votes, like favorite opponent or player's choice. So let's jump right on in here. So first, I'm going to show you guys the zoom in a bit. There we go. This is a roster from a little one-day event I ran a week or so ago. So first, I'm going to show you guys the new um, scenarios, and it's basically just added to the dropdown. All right, we have the new scenarios stockpile down here at the bottom, and hold the line, which were the new scenarios added in Clash Kings 2024. They will be already added to the dropdowns for both Bartroud and Blackjack. Bartroud doesn't really care about the scenario; it scores them all the same. Blackjack does care; it does score the different scenarios differently. So there is a library update required to actually add those up correctly. There is no official Blackjack score chart for those two scenarios yet. I don't know whether they're going to do one or not. So hold the line is currently being scored the same as control because they're both 7 point maximum board control objective based scenarios. So I figured close enough. That's probably what they'll end up being if they update them. And then for stockpile, I did pillage because that's a 7 individual token slash objective scenario. So I figured those are pretty close, and they'll probably score them the same anyway. If you're doing Bart Shroud and you want to try any of the Shroud of the Reaper scenarios, then you can just add them to the drop down for your version of the form. And since Bartroud doesn't care about the specific scenario and how it scores things, then there's no other work that needs doing. Currently, just the standard scenarios in the Clash of Kings book are in there, but feel free to add new ones if and you want them. Next, let's talk about point levels. So currently everything defaults to 2,300 points, as that's kind of the standard. But if you want to run a tournament where you play a different points level, that is pretty easy to do. I have support in both Bart Shroud and Blackjack now for 1995, 2000, 2250, 2300, and 2500. And I'm sure you can all remember that. But just in case you don't, I've also added a section to the README that lists all those different point values that you could play at, and also some instructions on how to change them, which I'm going to also just show you guys real quick now. So what you do is it is round by round, not for the whole tournament. So if you want individual rounds to be played at different point levels, which is the thing that I think some tournaments do, or I've been told some tournaments do that, where you play some number of rounds at one point level and then some other rounds at a higher or smaller point level. That's easy to do since it's configured per round. If you want to change it for the whole tournament, for all the rounds to be the same but not 2,300 yet, you have to go through and change all of them. Sorry. I guess if you really wanted to, you could go into the local app script and change it so that whatever number is passed in from the round it gets overridden by one global that you want to set, or you can just go through and update, you know, the five tabs where you do it. So here's how you do it. You would come to the result column, column J. You would click onto the formula underneath it. You can see here's where we call our function game results. That's the function in the library. It calls a local function here that then calls the function in the library. So you do have an opportunity to make global changes to it if you want. But really, all you have to do is change this one parameter that is currently set to 2300. You can set it to 2000. And then drag it down to row 100 because I drag everything down for 100 rows just because that's how I like to do it, or however far down you need to. And there you go. Round one is now going to be calculated as if it's a 2,000 point round. And if you want to do that for other rounds, you just do the same thing. You go to the result tab, you go to the result column, you change that one parameter in the function, and you drag it down, and you do that for whatever point level you would like to play at. I'm going to change these back to 2300 now so I don't forget. And that's pretty much all there is to that. If there's any additional point levels that people might want to play at, then let me know, and I'll try to work it into a future update. Okay, so that's those two things. That's the new scenarios and the point level. And those are really the only two changes that involve the actual like scoring or gameplay aspects of this. The last couple things are just convenience, quality of life, utility type things for TOs. So I'm gonna slide all the way to the end here. So one thing that a lot of tournaments do is give out door prizes at the end, and usually we do that by like drawing names out of a hat or giving out tickets to people and then drawing tickets and reading out the numbers and then waiting to see who comes up with the ticket. Sometimes if you're doing like a charity drawing, you'll sell a whole bunch of tickets to people and you have people with like 50 tickets and they'll like try to remember the first and last number and all that, and then have to rip the one ticket out of the middle and give it to you. I find that whole process at the end of the event when we're trying to get on the road, we just want the awards, like kind of tedious. So I don't do it that way. I've been doing it by using a script to draw people's names and then just calling names instead of calling out numbers. So if you would like to do that now, you can without having to do anything else. It's built into the spreadsheet. You go to the last tab. It's called Random Drawing. You go up to TO Tools and you just hit Random Drawing. It'll ask you how many names to draw. In this case, I've got 8 people in the roster. You type in 8 and hit OK, and it'll draw 8 names in a random order, with everyone having one shot at having their name pulled. So that's if you just want a straight, like, just give me my list of players. Give me like one random name. I don't care. Give me like all the players that I have in a random order. I don't care. I'm drawing everybody's name once. That's all you have to do. If you want to sell tickets or give people different numbers of tickets, then you pop back to the Random Drawing Tickets tab, which is the second to last tab. And again, these are all at the end. So if you don't do anything like this and you don't care, it's all at the end. You don't even have to worry about it or look for it. But assuming that you do want to like sell tickets or give people different numbers of tickets, you would just come here and update the tickets column. The list of players here is pulled straight out of the roster tab. So whenever you add or remove someone, they will either be here or not. So you don't have to like keep it in sync or anything. It'll synchronize automatically. And you just put in however many tickets you've given people. If you've given everybody one ticket, then don't put anything. If you leave the whole thing blank, it'll just assume that everybody has one ticket. So if that's all you're doing, don't worry about it. Only worry about putting a number of tickets in if you have sold or given out some other number of tickets. And so let's just go through and give folks some ticket numbers. I'll show you how it works. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. We have tickets. Now, go back up to TO Tools, hit Random Drawing. It'll again ask how many names to draw. Let's say 8. Okay. Now, because I've given people different numbers of tickets, it's going to ask me a follow-up question. Should I draw the same name more than once? So basically what's going to happen here is everybody's name is going to go into the virtual hat, once for every ticket they have. And someone's name might get drawn twice. If you don't want that to happen, then you just click no and say you don't want the name to be drawn more than once. And it'll still, like, if it draws the name a second time, it'll just put it back in the hat, draw a different one. If you say yes, then it could draw the same name more than once. Chances are, if you're giving out multiple tickets, you're okay with a name being drawn more than once. but it's possible that you're not. It's possible that you just want the tickets to represent a greater chance that someone's name will get drawn, or that their name will get drawn earlier in the drawing rather than at all. But for this, let's go ahead and say yes. Draw the tickets more than once. Now you note that the numbers changed. That's because for every ticket that actually gets drawn and included in the drawing, we're going to decrement their number of tickets by one. So this is so that if you are doing something like um, multiple drawings over the course of the tournament, or multiple like rounds of drawings, um, the tickets basically come out of the hat and don't go back into it. So if a name gets drawn, that ticket gets discarded. I'll do drawings before every round of the tournament, and so every time I pull the name, I want that ticket discarded so that it's not in there again. So like people's number of tickets will go down as you do drawings. And let's pop over and see. Here's the names. It populates the random drawing tab. Whether you've specified a number of tickets or not. So you always pop over here. And as you can see, we've got 8 names. We've drawn Joey twice. We've drawn Fox and Travis and Ed once. And then we drew Chuck 3 times at the end because, again, it's random. And you said to redraw names. And he had 8 tickets, so he was likely to get drawn a few more times than everyone else. So we see that Chuck's name was drawn 3 times. If we pop back over, we see that he's now got 5 tickets. And he started with 8, so we subtracted 3 like we're supposed to. And that's basically how it works. If somebody's total goes down to 0, like as we can see right here, Travis's has gone down to 0, then they're not going to get pulled at all for the next time. If anyone has any number of tickets, then blanks or zeros are treated as 0. So if you go through and just add like 1 ticket to one person and then do a drawing, their name is the only name that's going to get drawn. It's kind of pointless, but if you for whatever reason want to do a drawing where only a subset of the players have a chance, then just give them all 1 ticket and leave everybody else blank. So let's see what happens. One more thing I want to show you guys. Let's do another random drawing. And let's say I want to draw 100 names because I have a ton of swag to give away, and I haven't really paid attention to who. Should I draw the same name more than once? No. It's going to tell me I can't do that because there's not enough tickets to draw 100 names. Because there's only 8 names, and there's no way that it can draw 100 names, not redrawing any names. So it'll catch you so it doesn't overdraw. Then we come in here. Okay, so let's fine. Let's draw 100 and say that it is okay to draw names more than once. It's still going to say not enough tickets because there aren't 100 tickets total. If you added up all the tickets over there, you wouldn't get 100. So let's try again. Let's say 20. There's probably 20 tickets in there. Sure. I know I've only got 8 players, so I got to redraw names more than once in order to draw 20. And there you go. And so now it's decremented a whole lot of folks over here. 3 people now have no tickets. Everybody's got either 1, 2, or 3. And if we come over here, now we've got a full 20 names. And the names are, of course, drawn multiple times. Here's Chuck several times. Here's Thomas, who may have only gotten drawn once. Here's me, drawn a couple times. Here's Joey, who's drawn a couple times. Kelly, who's drawn a couple times. So there you go. So if you're doing this and you're calling people, you have them come up. You call Thomas, you call Ed, you call Joey. You can do that instead of asking people to look up ticket numbers and have them come up. If someone's name is called multiple times back to back, then you can just call their name, and when they're up there, tell them like, "Hey, grab 2 or 3 things," or however you're doing it. The only slight wrinkle in this from how people currently do it is right now there will always be some people who will just give their tickets away, either to a clubmate or someone else, possibly because they're not really interested in any of the prizes, or possibly usually because they're not sticking around for awards and they just want to get on the road. So they just like, here, have my tickets. If you win something, you keep it. Or if they call my name, try to get me that thing or something like, that's a thing that happens. And since these are virtual tickets and we're just drawing names, it's a little hard for someone to give their tickets away. So what I would have you do, if that's a thing that you want to cover, is just let people know that if they're going to leave and they want to give their tickets to someone else, to have them come tell you. Chances are it's going to be somebody like they're going to have told a clubmate or a friend of theirs. So if you call their name and somebody that they know walks up and they're not there anymore, it's not going to be that weird. But the polite way to do it would just be like to tell people, hey, if you're not going to be here for the drawing and you want to give your tickets to someone else, just come up and let me know. And then you would just come in here and, say if Chuck wasn't going to stick around, but I was, he comes up and tells me, hey, just give my tickets to Mike. You just go and change that to a 0 and that to a 2. And there you go. Then Chuck's name won't get drawn, and I've got one more ticket to draw. So that's the only thing to keep in mind and to kind of get ahead of um, before people decided to all do it differently without you having given them any particular warning. So that's 3 out of 4 things done. I hope you guys will like this. I found it really easy to have a script to just draw names instead of giving out tickets and calling tickets out at the end. I feel like it goes a lot faster, and you don't end up with just a bunch of tickets to throw away as well. Um, so yeah, that's sort of the last of the like standalone scripts I used to use um, to run events. Now that I've added to the spreadsheet here, so now like everything that I usually do is all in one spot now. So that's pretty cool. I look forward to using it. Hopefully, you guys will find it useful. And if not, no big deal. It's just tacked on there at the end, and it's not really in your way either, and you can just ignore it. Last thing is the end of tournament votes. So you get to the end of the event, everyone's put all of their game scores in, and then you're waiting on like your player's choice votes or your favorite opponent votes, so that you can finally get started giving out the awards. And it's kind of a chaotic, busy time, right? Because people are like packing up their armies and they're packing up terrain and they're going to check out of the hotel maybe, or there's a lot going on. Everybody's going a bunch of different directions, and people can easily forget to submit one more form at the end. And when you've got a list of like 30 players, and you're kind of eyeballing the votes that have come in, and you're like, all right, we've gotten 28 votes. 2 people haven't voted. It's really hard for me to look at the votes that have come in and pick out the 2 names that aren't there. So it would be great if there was a way at a glance to see how many votes had come in, and as you get down to the last few, who the last few holdouts are that haven't put their votes in yet. So that's why I've added this tab. It is just before the total awards tab. So again, kind of near the end. It's not really in your way if you don't want to look at it, but it's after all the the sports votes and the players choice vote tabs, and just before total awards. And it is called EOT votes, or end of tournament votes. And again, it just replicates the whole roster, so you don't have to keep it in sync. It will keep itself in sync automatically. And as long or until people start voting, it's going to be blank. But then when people start submitting their results, so I'll come over here, I'll submit one for myself for this event. We'll say Chuck was my favorite opponent. We'll say Ed was my second favorite opponent. We'll say Fox was my player's choice vote. Okay, so that should go through. Then we come back over here. We'll see that now there's the timestamp of when I submitted the vote is now populated here. So as people submit their votes, the timestamps will fill in, and you can at a glance kind of notice how many votes are outstanding and who is still waiting. So let's come and put another one. This time I'll say I'm Chuck. Let's say Ed was my favorite opponent. Fox was my second favorite opponent. And Joey's my player's choice vote. Submit those. Back to the form. Come back through. Now Chuck also has a timestamp there. So this is just an easy way, like as you get to the end of the event and people are sending stuff and you're like pointing out, hey, please put the trees in that box and the hills in that box, and like roll up the mats and put them over there and take the tables down, and all the stuff you have to do while the spreadsheet is accepting the data from people and calculating the awards for you, so that you don't really have to, right? You can just kind of come here to the end and like eyeball the awards, eyeball the total results, and eyeball the votes to see if you've still got gaps in this vote timestamp column. And if so, get on your microphone or however you do it and let people know, like, hey, well, the following 3 people, please submit their votes. We're waiting on you. Instead of just making the announcement over and over again. Hi, everybody, make sure to submit your votes. You can call out specific people or go around and like poke them in person and be like, hey, you do your thing. So we can get this. So we can get on with giving out the awards, please. So there you go. Mostly just like little convenience and quality of life things for TOs to just kind of again reduce your workload, make things a little bit easier on you. And that's it for V3. That's the 4 things. We've got updated scenarios for Clash, additional point levels that you can play at, and an easy way to do random drawings, either with everybody having 1 ticket or having multiple tickets, random, arbitrary numbers of tickets per player, and a way to at a glance, get my hand in front of the camera there, a way to tell at a glance who has and hasn't submitted their in a tournament votes. So I'm going to have these updates in the Facebook group with links to the updated spreadsheet files already rolled to V3. Again, if you've got your own spreadsheet that you've used and you made a lot of changes to it, um, you can always update your spreadsheet to V3. The changes that have been made here will not conflict with anything really. And you can always just grab the V3 release spreadsheet to get the tabs that I've added and like add them to yours. I think there's like one function call you would have to add to your local app script library for your own spreadsheet to do the random drawing, um, which is pretty straightforward. And if you've made a lot of changes to how yours works away from the stock one, it's probably easier to do that. Or if you don't care about doing the random drawings, you don't have to add anything at all. You can just copy the in a tournament votes tab as I've done it, stick it in there. That'll work, and just leave the random drawing stuff off and not worry about it. And then just update to V3 and add the scenarios to your form yourself, which is pretty easy. It's just adding two things to a dropdown. So I think that's about it. At this point, I don't really have anything else on my roadmap for a V4, unless anyone has feedback for me or requests. I don't know how much more I'm going to how much more work I'm going to do on this in the near term, because I don't know what else I would do with it. It's getting to the point now where it's got most everything in there that I would kind of want it to have, and adding more stuff might just be bloating it, which I would like to avoid. But if people find bugs or anything that doesn't work as expected, please definitely let me know. I'm happy to fix those. And if there's something that you would really like to be able to do at an event that it doesn't currently support, let me know, and I'll look into adding it. I'll think about adding it. I know there are some things that people would like for it to do, but that, like the way Google has written Google Forms and Google Sheets, it just won't do. Like showing people their score immediately at the end of the form and stuff like that. But I will occasionally poke around and see, like, okay, is there a way to do that? Have there been any updates and whatnot? But so far, there's nothing like that. So I think V4, like until we get maybe like additional scenarios or something, is probably going to be it for a good while. So going forward, I know we've got a couple of people planning on using this at tournaments over the winter, and then I'll be using it at my event in April. And then, as far as I know, we're planning on using this for Masters and Best of the Rest. Um, and having used it at Crossroads, like that's a big event. It got quite a workout at Crossroads. So I'm not really concerned about like the scale or anything, or it not being able to handle things for Masters and Best of the Rest. But I want to be sure that it works well. So if anybody notices any issues with it in testing or running events, please do let me know, because I definitely want to make sure that it's good and stable, before we use it for Masters, because you know Masters lately has not had a great track record of the software working well, and I don't want mine to be a continuation of that. Um, so yeah, please, if you notice anything, let me know as soon as possible, and I will get it fixed. Otherwise, let me know in the Facebook group if you have any questions or concerns, or if you need help with anything. And I think that's it. I think I'm done. So take care of yourselves. Let's keep running awesome events, and I'll see you hopefully at one of them very soon.